Morning. Welcome to the 4th of July month Veterans Memorial Island Advisory Committee. I would like to welcome everybody here and begin as we normally do with the Pledge of Allegiance. So Barb, if you would lead us with that, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. The minutes from last month was sent out, and I'd like to take this opportunity to see if there's any recommendations for changes for that.
Make a motion, we approve.
So moved. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay, so we'll place those in the archive for reference in the future as needed. Audience participation. All those that are watching, again, you're encouraged and welcome to come at any time and participate in the committee. There's always room for input, and we're very proud of the sanctuary, and we're very proud of the community that's here that makes that possible. So, new business. The Veterans Council donation, I've invited Mr. Sam Coons to come up here, and if you would, please, Colonel Coons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee members, with your permission, I'd like to read you a letter. To the Veterans Memorial Island Sanctuary Advisory Committee, subject, lest we forget, monument restoration donation. Monday, 29 June 2015. On behalf of the Veterans Council of Indian River County, its 21 veteran organizational members, 34 auxiliary member organizations, and nearly 12,000 veterans of Indian River County. We would like to contribute to the restoration of the Lest We Forget monument of Veterans Memorial Island Sanctuary. The monument was the initial landmark dedicated over 50 years ago when the sanctuary was established. By its very words, it embodies the solemn resolve of all veterans and their families to always remember their selfless sacrifice. The donation of $1,000 to the city of Vero Beach signifies to all the faith we share with the community to honor those remembered in the hallowed grounds in the refuge of the Treasure Coast Barrier Island. Young men went off to fight the Hun in World War I. Others rallied to regain the Pacific. Some were shot down over Germany, France, or Italy fighting the Axis powers. Another group of comrades bought time with their lives in the defense of Korea, and still more crossed halfway around the world to fight and die in the rice paddies of Vietnam. They answered the nation's call. We understand that oath to protect and defend, and now we want to restore the landmark that conveys that commitment. Thank you for permitting us the privilege. Sincerely, the Veterans Council of Indian River County.
Thank you.
You are so thoughtful. Thank you so much. This is truly
Yes, thank you,
appreciated
Sam.
by all of us.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I just want to echo what Colonel Coons said. As we look to continue the island and the stature of the island, it's always important to make sure that the monuments are maintained, and this contribution speaks on behalf of the veterans to support the committee. So,
It certainly is gratifying to all of us to receive the support of this organization. And we all know how special that island is, but it's because everybody cares. Thank you so much.
okay. All right. Mr. Gomez, Mr. Abadi, if you would like to come forward and talk about the Korean ceremony that's planned in July.
My name is Vincent Abadi. I am at this time the commander of the Korean War Veterans. I happen to be the founder also. And we're having a function on July 25th. I have to confer with my chairman, so I'm going to turn everything over to him. He knows a lot more than this, than what's going on than I do. So I'm going to introduce Mr. Joseph Gomez.
Okay.
He was a sergeant, I believe. Everybody outranks me.
Okay, what I want to bring up is that on July 25th, what we're going to have, what we'd like to do, with your permission, is place these markers on the stones that are there now. I'd like to pass this around. Oh, yeah, bring it around. And with a list of the names that they go on to in Memorial Island. Here, Vinny, show them the list.
Joe, tell us about the memorial, the memorial. What do you want to call it?
You could pass it down.
The medallion. There you go.
Medallion.
Okay. As far as placing it, it'll be placed in the morning. Is that correct? And then
It's going to be.
You see, Joe.
Okay, it's going to be placed at 8 o'clock because the meeting is going to start at 9 for 1 hour.
Okay. So, if you look at the handouts, there's some photographs that was used that kind of demonstrates how they're placed. But the tubes that are at the island that the flags are in, you just unscrew it, and then this slides in there to mark each individual location. And then at the end of the day, they would be pulled out just like the flags are used during the Memorial Day and Veterans Day. So, but
The extension thing is nice.
so, okay. And then following the ceremony, you're going to have a get-together?
Yeah, following the ceremony, what we're going to have, hopefully, is a luncheon at the Irish American Club.
Okay.
And that'll celebrate our anniversary for the 62nd anniversary of the Korean War.
Okay. All right.
With your permission, we would
And
like.
I believe the application's gone into the recreation
the
department?
applications have gone in.
Okay.
And it turned in, and this is the last step right here.
Okay. All right.
The whole thing.
Questions?
Mr. Gomez, I missed you're going to have a ceremony on the island when you dedicate these?
Well, yeah, it's going to be small. We didn't invite anybody but just the chapter or any other veterans that want to come. What I'd like to do is put a little ad in the paper notifying everybody that it's going to be, so all the veterans can come, or whoever wants to come.
And that's at 9 o'clock, did you say? Or?
Yeah, it's at 9 o'clock. That's on a Saturday, July 25th. The reason we're doing that is because of the luncheon we're having following that.
Right.
And the anniversary legally is on the 27th on a Monday, but no one can make it on a Monday.
Right.
So that's why we're doing it on a Saturday.
So, and it's mainly for your group, but any veteran can attend, or any of us that are proud of you that served in Korea, we could all attend at 9 o'clock on the 25th Saturday morning for this brief ceremony. Is that?
It's going to be. Vinny's going to be the master of ceremony. He doesn't know it yet. But anyway, and we're going to see if we can get a guest speaker and so forth.
Okay.
And set it up. We'll make a program up and something like that. I don't think we're going to get an awful lot because they asked us at the community center, how many are you going to be having? I said, hopefully 30 to 50 if we have that many. And because it's dwindling down, we're losing more and more men. So, and that shrinks it, and a lot of them went away for the summer, and, that's the reason for being it so small.
I think if I can help again with the program we passed, if that would help you with it, to print 30 or 40 of them. And
okay. Thank you.
If it's the appropriate time, I'd like
I don't
to.
know if you people who work, what would you say? Do you people know that the VFW in Vero Beach has disbanded
Yes, sir.
because of the fact that they don't have enough members right now? So I'm afraid this might happen to the Korean War veterans in a year or 2 or 3. And I advise the guys not to die and continue on.
Could you put that in the bylaws? Maybe no dying.
Yeah, put in the bylaw.
I think that's a very good idea.
Yeah.
Tell them pass along, don't pass on.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the short ceremony and placing the flags at the markers of these 8 members of our community that died in the service of our country during the Korean War.
I'll second that.
Thank
Okay.
you.
We got the
Thank
high
you.
sign from the Recreation Department that everything is okay?
Yeah, Rob Slezak, Recreation Director. Just a couple questions for these guys, just to make sure.
Oh.
Are you going to have the ceremony in the main area where you have the benches? Or
Yes.
Okay, no problem. So you don't need chairs.
No.
Do you guys have waters? I think waters would be recommended that you guys have those.
Yeah, we'll bring.
I realize it's an
yeah,
hour,
we'll bring
but it's
water.
hot in the morning, you know. And when we have, just to let you guys know, we do have, we just called EMS and just have them, we wrote a note to them just to be on standby, just to let you guys know
Yeah.
that, just because of the weather.
We don't-
You never know with the heat. Sometimes you wake up in the morning, it's nice and cool, but sometimes it's a little warm, so.
All right, no, we're going
Okay.
to bring water. Yeah,
Okay,
we
great.
don't need electric or anything like that.
No, we don't need that. We're not
They're
going to
just
get
having a
any.
simple ceremony.
Yeah.
I want to make sure you guys all know.
It's going to
that,
be a
too.
short one.
Okay, great.
Thank
That's
thank
all I
you.
have, guys.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob. Okay. I appreciate it. So all in favor of the ceremony?
Aye.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Oh, it's our pleasure. We're
Listen,
proud to
we're
know
not
you.
doing anything tomorrow.
I'll get back with you.
Okay. All right. So, very good.
See you guys later on today.
Always,
It's always a pleasure.
it's always good to see you. Thanks so much for coming. Okay.
Thank you.
Vinny, give Loretta our regards. I'm serious. Don't forget.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Vince. Okay.
Thanks.
Moving to old business, the proposed updates to the Memorial Island Sanctuary rules and regulations. Okay. As a preface to that, a lot of energy has gone into looking at the existing resolution, and it was sent out for your review. So I would like to look at that with you. And Peggy's here, so Peggy, if you see something that we need to highlight specifically as this was developed, we can do that. What I would like to do is just use the clean version, which is right after the resolution, and then if we need to make reference to the specific changes, that attachment is there with the lined out version and the underlined. Okay. That's fine. All right. So let's just go from the beginning. For the purpose and intent, if you look at the purpose and intent, the 2 items that are specified there were directly from the resolution that was in place. And the 2 main objectives there first were to provide a quiet haven for reflection on the sacrifices, and the second one was to also provide a memorial to the military heroes of Indian River County. Okay. So Barb, am I going too quick? Okay. All right. The next portion of the revision is an addition, and it's listed as B there under definitions. And if you look through those definitions, all of those are terms and actual items that are used in supervision of the island, be it the cenotaphs, the master plan, our committee, and then the island itself. What's important in the definition for the island sanctuary is if Exhibit A And the Exhibit A is a map of Veterans Memorial Island Sanctuary, and that's what's highlighted there. Okay. And what's important there was the addition of the bridge and the circle that's on the eastern extremity of the bridge. Okay. Under general matters, which is the next portion, the addition there, number 1, reflects the important fact that it is a part of the charter of Vero Beach. And then the second general matter was a intent that was in the previous resolution, and it was just moved forward under general matters, which indicates that there would be no admission charge to get to enter the sanctuary. All right. Public Works identified under number 3, no change there. Don and Monty will be in charge of the construction and work that progresses on the island.
There's a little tiny, not that I'm the best at this, but there's should be Vero Beach City Council in consideration. Didn't we leave a word out there, in consideration?
Only after approval of the Vero Beach City Council. Yeah, you're right.
In consideration.
And again, not that I'm the best at this kind of stuff, but
No, exactly. All right. And then the next indicates that the coordination for the sanctuary will be initiated through the Recreation Department. It's just to define for those that are unfamiliar with how we operate that's the a point of contact to begin. Then under Delta, D, for rules and policies, these were arranged in an order, sequential order that hopefully provides for a clear progression of ideas. All the uses would be in keeping with the purpose and intent of the sanctuary, and that is defined previously. So that's straightforward. Any other use would be under the permission of the city manager and consistent with the existing code. And then the next portion deals with private memorial services. There was a update to that, a change. We had understood that it would meet a certain standard for the DD 214s, that it would be anything other than dishonorable, and that's been incorporated into that paragraph. Okay. And then the final portion of that paragraph in regards to the cremains, that's as it's always been, that there's no cremains allowed on the island, but that it may be scattered from the island. Okay. Then moving to the next portion, the following uses shall not be permitted. In the original, that was a recommendation. This has been the legal term. I'm not sure what the legal term would just be specified, I guess would be. And that is, you can read through there, and there were 2 additions, and those were lessons learned from the city staff, and one being that we would not have the, where's the aircraft?
Number 10 there, but
Number 10, kite flying or operational model aircraft from model vehicles. I think drones would follow under that.
I was going to say, because that's something.
We would prefer no drones to be launched from Memorial Island. Okay.
Do we need to specify that?
I think model aircraft takes care of that.
It should.
Well, I mean, it's.
I think that should
Hopefully
suffice. Yeah. And then another lesson learned in regards to water activities, we did provide for the ability for folks to fish from the bridge, except when it would interfere with ceremonies being conducted on the island. And I think from past experience, it's probably a measure that would be supported.
You're going to allow fishing on the bridge now?
No, always have.
We have
Yeah, you always have, but I mean,
Right. Yes.
with the exception of
when it would interfere with the ceremonies. Okay. And then in 12 there, motor vehicles and other motorized conveyances would be prohibited except those that were used to support the island. We did, thinking there would be like we wouldn't want to have a Segway moving around. And then the other portion, as far as vehicles, I think it's understood that we would be able to use the golf carts during ceremonies. So, okay. And then the last there is 13, except for service dogs. But is there anything, Barb or John, in regards to the prohibitions there that you see? One thing that did pop into my mind, Peggy, was about a year ago we had a business do a commercial on the island. So would we want to prohibit commercial activities from being conducted, or that's kind of a question?
If you prefer that, we can spell that out perhaps in the general section. You wouldn't want to have. Can you come up to the microphone?
Yeah.
Peggy,
Yeah.
Thank you.
atta girl.
Good morning, Peggy
Good
Lyon,
morning.
Assistant
Good
City
morning.
Attorney. I've really enjoyed working on this with Tony and the guys. It's really been a great experience, and I think it's a lot more organized than it was before, so it's all good. So you had a commercial activity on the island over the last couple of years, and you prefer not to?
They did a commercial
Continue
for
that.
that hospital, and so
Oh, I
so
see.
my thinking is that a necessity to delineate, or would it be understood just in keeping with the intent that would probably not be something?
I think it's understood in keeping with the intent, but if it happened, it might not be a bad thing to spell it out. What do you all think?
This occurrence was a situation where they were not aware. It was not the local. It was somebody who'd been hired
I
to
see.
do it.
I see.
And they were not aware of where they were taking them and the rules and regulations that go along with it, and
Oh,
they
I
stopped it
see.
immediately.
But was
And
the
they had-
hospital, but were the people they were doing the commercial for?
Yes.
Were they aware?
No, that's what I'm
The
saying.
hospital was not
Well, they were
aware?
not aware of exactly where they were going to make
Wow.
the commercial.
Maybe we
So-
better spell it out.
But I think maybe, Peggy, if we could, I think there should be something in there
Okay.
that has to do with, with today's communications. You don't know exactly what to call it. But
Well, we can certainly add it into D as a number 14. That'll get us away from the unlucky number 13.
Okay. So commercial.
No commercial activity shall be permitted on the island. No commercial activity.
Okay.
period, just period.
No commercial.
Oh, so it'll be actually the following use shall not be permitted. So it would be commercial activity.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 14.
In fact, that's all you'd have to say.
And back to something that John mentioned, I was looking through to see about the number 3 Vero Beach City Council consideration. I think in other places we have after consideration. So just to keep it consistent, if that works. Yeah, thanks.
Say again, please.
On that number 3 up at the top of page 2,
Right.
all work and projects at the sanctuary shall be implemented by the Public Works Department of the City of Vero Beach only after approval of the Vero Beach City Council, after consideration
Oh,
of
after
recommendation.
instead of
I think
in.
is where we had it in other places, but somehow it got dropped out there.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
After consideration. Okay.
So I'll just add in that commercial activity as a number 14. I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Good. Thanks. Okay. Moving to individual memorials. The first portion there is consistent with the practice in place that the design of the cenotaphs will reflect the era that they were made. The second portion there is an update in examining how to document properly the authority for the cenotaphs, the best document for that is a casualty report. Earlier, I think there was a confusion, at least on my part, about using the DD-214, but the DD-214 isn't provided for casualties. So I think the DOD Form 1300 report of casualty certificate is appropriate there. No other individual memorials should be allowed is number 3, and then the cenotaphs would be approved in our normal review process, which is through the advisory committee to the city. Okay. Other questions?
No.
Okay. All right. Going next to monuments. These are the large collective monuments, and they are there from the very beginning, lest we forget, and includes all of the other collective monuments, which are the World War II, Korea, Vietnam, as well as Pearl Harbor survivors and the POW MIA monument. The second portion there is just the clarification that only those organizations that would sponsor the event, sponsor the monument would be recognized. And then moving down to the next, again, through the city council, and then finally, number 4 there, that it would be consistent with the master plan and no development should occur other than that is consistent. And that's important to bring out because that's been attached as well to this. And if you look at the Exhibit B, you'll find what is in place now for the island with the addition of the vacant locations for potential memorials, which are indicated there. And there's 3. There's 2 to the south of the island, in between the Marine Corps and Korean monument, and 1 between the Coast Guard and the DOD monument. And then the third one is the old location for the sundial. And if any individuals would like to propose a collective monument, then they would come to us and it would be submitted with a plan to see if those locations are sufficient for that. Okay. Ma'am, I hear your brain thinking.
I was just thinking about a group of individuals. Well, that group of individuals would certainly have to recommend one of our organizations.
Right,
so
there we go.
I just want everybody to understand we're not going to entertain a group of individuals who think we ought to put a monument out there for just some other reason.
That's right. Okay. Okay. And then the final portion there is service memorials, and those are the memorials that have been erected on the perimeter of the island, and those are the branches of service and include also the Department of Defense. Okay. So, Peggy, I think, unless there's something else that I've forgotten.
One thing I just wanted to check with you, because we had talked about it, but I wasn't sure if we ever touched base. Is the Indian River County Veterans Service Office, is that the correct name of that?
Yes.
That's right? Okay,
Yes.
good. I just want to make sure we got that right.
Yep.
So, that's all good. Yes, I am very excited about this moving forward. And what I'll do, if there's no other changes, I'll make those 2 changes. And then who should I get that final document to show it to the veterans group?
It can come to me, and then I'll provide that. In
Okay.
fact, I can brief them on the changes that are made today
Okay, good.
as well.
And then once we get their approval, then let Rita
Then
know,
we'll
and
come
we can
back.
get it on the city council
Right.
agenda at that point.
Peggy, while you're standing at the microphone, this has been a long time coming.
I know.
And
I'm very proud of us all.
I really can't say thank you enough, because you've done just exactly what we hoped you would.
Yeah,
You
it's
put it
good to
in
have
a
it
document
organized.
that reads according, and it moves from one thing to the next. And let's hope we've answered all the questions as of today.
And I think Helen Glenn would be very happy.
Gosh, she really would.
And that's what I was thinking of while I was working on it,
Yeah.
so it's a good thing.
One of the things pardon me, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, John.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I thought.
Sorry.
I was just going to say one of the main changes is that it's no longer that the person had to die in combat. And I just want to make sure that we're all aware of that. So we've taken that out of there. And we've oftentimes used that Memorial Island has the same dignity and decorum as Arlington and other sacred places. And everybody can't be buried in Arlington. And you have to, there's certain things. And so it is a significant change, and it's probably the main change other than just improving the wordsmithing. But the main thing that we're changing is that they no longer have to have died in combat. They could die in a traffic accident coming home from Shuckers or whatever at the bar. So it's anyone who died in the service of our country now. And I'm not necessarily objecting to it, but just want to make sure that we all know we're taking out that what has been a fairly significant thing. And
when I looked at that, and that's been a discussion point, I thought about it a little bit more, and we have had the precedents in the past, but really that shouldn't be the guiding motivation for this. As I look back on recent events, and I think of current incidents with our armed forces, I would hope that if the men that died in the Cold War were lost, that they would be recognized, and I think that this accomplishes that. And unfortunately, we also have incidences where men supporting the special forces in the Gulf went down, and he lost his life. And likewise in Nepal, when we sent an aircraft out, and another half dozen men lost their lives in service to their country. So I think the opening to permit that is something that is in concert with the intent for the island. I just think that that's something that is important.
I agree.
I just mention one thing from what you said, John, is that on page 3E, number 2, you still do have the language who died while defending the United States of America. So any such qualifying veteran who died while defending our country and was a resident of Indian River County at the time of his or her initial entry into one of the services. So I'm not sure about the traffic accident, but they still had to have been
serving our country.
When they died. Is that what you all understand you're putting into place?
Again, I just want to say I think we've done, or you all have done a great job on this. It just is one of the most significant changes to it, and I agree with it, because if a young man dies in training or dies anywhere while serving the country, we should honor him. But again, if you go back to Arlington, not everybody, those would not be allowed to be buried in Arlington, and if we. If that was kind of, we've often said, has the same dignity and decorum as. So now it has changed, and I agree with the change, but it was just something I think that we should know and others should know, is that we are taking that out that's been in there since the beginning of the committee.
So we've moved from died in combat to died while defending, right? That's the big,
In reality, it's been beaten in our heads forever. You're a soldier 24 hours a day, so you're actually defending no matter what.
That's
so
right.
I think it falls under that criteria.
Yeah. You're still on active duty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, no, not necessarily. Would it only be active duty, or could a reservist who is serving our country?
He's still on active duty. He's got orders to go to active duty, so he's active duty.
Because he's subject to call.
That makes it active duty.
Yeah, once you get your orders.
In fact, that was a ruling by the Secretary of Defense recently, where the young man that perished aboard the aircraft was I believe he was a guardsman or reservist that was on, and he was acting on active duty. And had it not been for him being on active duty, in fact, unless he was on active duty, he would have been precluded from being buried in Arlington Cemetery. But because he was on active duty, the rules permit him to be buried in Arlington. And the Secretary of Defense said, after being petitioned by his family, whose uncle was a Green Beret, like, this is correct, he reversed the initial ruling and said, yes, do it.
And many of the cenotaphs that we have out there, as everyone knows, did not die in combat, but were from our community. So that, but also that, like, for example, the Pearl Harbor survivors have individual names which they're grandfathered in, but that wouldn't be allowed now. So just because there's something on the island doesn't mean it's automatic. But at any rate, I agree with it. We just wanted to discuss that point, and it is significant to some of us.
Okay. Gracious. You don't want to leave anybody out that deserves to be there.
Correct.
And that's exactly what we're doing.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, I agree with that. I wasn't. I was just discussing, not necessarily objecting to it.
I know that.
So I think it's
I'm
great.
glad for the
great work
discussion.
and a wonderful spot that we can continue to protect and preserve.
So I think we should have a motion with the two changes that we made today that the committee recommended.
I would like to make a motion that we go ahead and make those two changes in the proposed.
Okay.
See, I guess just a
I'll
point of
second.
order. Does it need to go to the Veterans Council
It's got to go back through the process, but this says to Peggy,
to move it forward?
go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Okay. So,
I did second.
okay, it's been first and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Peggy. Okay. Mr. Dexter, please.
Good morning, Don Dexter, Public Works.
Where the city manager-
We've sent the purchase order on to our granite craftsman, and so the cross is in process, or at least it's begun.
Oh, fantastic.
And he said it could take up to 20 weeks, so it'll be in just before Veterans Day. It's going to be close, but anyway, it's moving forward.
And who's doing that? Can I ask? Is it local?
Yeah, Felsmere, Mark Feldner
Okay.
is, but he does monuments and glass work also.
It's good that it's local.
I like the fact that it's from a Felsmere company. That's
Yep.
great.
Now, the main cutting and everything is going to be done off-site, but he'll do the final polishing and things like
Okay,
that.
and it will be the multi-edge beveled.
The six-sided configuration, just like the original cross on the picture was.
And the foundation stone underneath will be consistent with the cross that's on the top? or
It'll
is-
be the same material all the way through.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Is that going to be epoxied back on, or will it be bolted, or do you know?
Probably epoxied, but sometimes they'll run a rod up in it just to help hold it in place. I'm not
Yeah.
sure, but
Okay. I just want to make sure if we have another hurricane or something, it doesn't disappear. We've gone through a lot of trouble to get that back on. I know I'm sure that stays there.
and the stone that he found it's of course it'll never be an exact match to the face stone there, but it's very, very close in the grain and the color. So
Okay, all right. And last week we voted, and I think, Rita, you mentioned that we got the funding for the new plaque for Jimmy Doles.
Jimmy Doles, has that been taped? Council has approved that?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll move forward with ordering
Okay.
that.
And then what was the other thing? Oh, the update for the map, the directory.
That has been, we've had it made. We were able to get a piece that just covers up that informational portion of the sign rather than redoing the whole sign. And the Cutting Edge, who did the original map for us, did that for free.
Oh, wow.
So if you
That's
see
nice.
Sherry, let her know thank you. And I don't know if our guys have had a chance yet to apply it, but we have it in hand.
And what was the business name?
Cutting Edge.
Okay.
They're over here on Commerce Avenue,
On Commerce
just
Avenue.
south of 18th Street.
Get cut.
And any update for I think the committee needs to know about the staghorn, or
I'm not sure. I know
cardboard?
we went out and took a look at it, and Annette and I did, and we're trying to figure out a way to transport it and keep it from getting damaged in the transport. I'm not sure if she's been able to coordinate that yet or not.
There's the lady's name is a volunteer out at the Victory store, the petite Navy. Edie contacted us and said that she has a huge staghorn fern that she thought would be nice on the island. And Nanette went out with Dawn and reconned the island and said there's a beautiful oak that it would look appropriate with. So that's in the process of coming about. So,
on that subject, for your information, transport, I have one that's about like this, and it was not hung by chain in my oak, and just a wind and time.
Sure.
You aren't going to hurt it.
Okay.
You are not going to hurt it that bad.
Okay.
How big is this?
Gosh, it's probably
5 feet.
The core of it is probably about like this, and then with the
That's-
fronds
okay,
out, at
that's
least
a good
5 feet.
5 or 6
it's
feet.
big, and I would guess weighs a couple hundred pounds. So. When it's wet.
When it's wet, yeah. I think mine
we
weighs
need
30.
not to rain for about a week and no sprinklers hitting it.
Mine, including the leaves, is like this, and it weighed about, I guess, there. It was all I could do to hoist it back up to hang it on the new chains.
Yeah.
But you can damage a few leaves, knock off a pup, but you aren't going to hurt the plant. And if it does, stick it right back together, hang it up, and it will be happy as a clam.
Okay.
anything else? Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Don.
Rob, I know you're not on the agenda, but I would like you to. Can you mention what the plan is for the 4th on the island? Can you help us out?
Yep. On the 4th of July, we will have the fireworks promptly at 9 o'clock, and we expect them to run around 20 to 30 minutes.
And just the mechanics, y'all close the island like at noon or something, and then move the fireworks over there for the evening? Or how's that?
What happens is Zambelli comes in. I meet them on Saturday morning. They come in with their trucks, everything else. They actually block off an area where folks are. In general, they are allowed to access the park, but they need to stay to the south of them, away from them. They'll have an area roped off, and once it becomes a little bit more problematic, then we'll block off any access to the park just because they have explosives.
Well, I guess from the parade field that's there on the south end of the island, is that where they set up?
They normally go on the north side, but we're going to be making adjustments just because there's a lot of trees and everything else, so they're going to have to make a little bit more of an adjustment. But we've got that. We'll work all that out.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, we still allow some access, but once they get those explosives out, then they block it off.
Well, I want you to know my family has returned from Maryland just to be in Vero Beach for the fireworks.
Great, great. All we ask for is good weather. We don't want to have the same thing that we had last year.
Even with last year, they were delighted. So
well, I have to say it just was a little bit scary up until about 8 o'clock.
Yeah, it was.
So we'd like to have good weather this year.
Okay.
And the event itself starts. The rest of the event starts at 4 o'clock.
Okay. All right. And I know you pay attention to the activities on the barrier island, and there's a parade the night before on the 7th. That's totally the Chamber of Commerce of Vero Beach, correct?
Oh yes, you mean the one that's going to be? Yeah, that doesn't affect the island at all. That will be on the 3rd, and they are going to base out of Cardinal Drive, and I'll let you talk about that one since you've been working with that. But the bottom line is they're going to be doing their staging on Cardinal. The event itself is going to walk along Ocean and come up on Beachland and back to Cardinal, I believe. Yes. So, and I think that one starts at 5:30. They're getting together
at 7, so they assemble a couple hours
They
before.
assemble, yes, that's right. So.
Good. Thanks.
I don't know if we're going to talk more about that, but if I could plug it a little bit.
Yes,
My business, John Michael Matthews Fine Jewelry, is sponsoring the Marine Corps float, and the reason I'm mentioning it is any Marines listening or any Marines that want to gather around our float and help us celebrate the country's birthday and be part of the Marine Corps herd there, they're welcome to attend. We're going to honor Yank Yanatelli, who was wounded in
Iwo Jima.
Iwo Jima, one of our ancient and honorable Marines that
Ancient and honorable.
He said that. We didn't.
A Marine.
Hopefully he's not listening to
Okay.
But any Marine or friends of Marines or anyone can join near our float or on our float if we have room. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Barb, would you take the honors and read the account for Corporal Keene, please?
I would be honored. Corporal John A. Keene, 25th Infantry Division, taken POW, April 25th, 1951. Corporal John A. Keene was a U.S. Army infantryman, service number 143-57813. He was born November 27th, 1932. John was the oldest son. The family consisted of 2 sons and 4 daughters. His father was Harvey L. Keene and his mother Eva D. King. John was among the 49 veterans of World War II and Korea that were honored in the dedication of Memorial Island in 1964. His is a story of enormous suffering. He enlisted in the Army on August 8, 1950. During the Korean War, he was assigned to the Company F, 35th Infantry Regiment, 25th Infantry Division. Corporal Keene was captured on April 25th, 1951, before his 19th birthday, and spent almost 2 years as a prisoner of war in North Korea. He was held in the Pyeongdong prisoner camp. Jack was repatriated after the armistice talks began in August 1953. He died at the age of 28 and is buried in the Naples Memorial Gardens Cemetery. John's awards include the POW Medal, Korean Service Medal, and the Combat Infantry Badge. His cenotaph is located in column E, row 10. He was highlighted on June 2nd, 2015.
Thanks. Okay.
All right. Sergeant Wallace F. Baker, 1st Marine Division, wounded in action November 29, 1951, killed in service August 3, 1955. Sergeant Baker was born in Wabasso, September 16, 1931. His parents are Andrew F. and Mary L. Baker. He enlisted in the United States Marine Corps on August 25, 1949. His service number was 1113020. Wallace went to boot camp in Parris Island, South Carolina. Then, in January 1950, he reported to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and was assigned to the Weapons Company, 1st Battalion, 6th Marines, Fleet Marine Force. On June 25, 1950, the Korean War began with the invasion of South Korea by the Communist North Korea. Serving with the 1st Marines, he fought in the Battle of Incheon Beach and the Wosan Landing. He was wounded on November 29, 1950. The battle lines at that time were in the vicinity of the Chosan Reservoir. By the time he made corporal, he had fought under historic and horrific circumstances. Later assignments were to Sasebo, Japan, Camp Pendleton, Subic Bay, and the Marine Detachment of
Oahu.
Thank you. On August 3rd, 1955, he was killed in an auto accident. Funeral services were held at the Baptist Church of Winter Beach on Wednesday, August 17th, 1955. He was only 23. His 3 sisters are Mrs. Alice J. Richard of Savannah, Georgia, and Mrs. Elizabeth L. Kersey and Miss Shirley Baker of Vero Beach. Sergeant Baker's awards include the Purple Heart. He is buried with honors in the Winter Beach Cemetery, Section D, Row 6. He is honored on Veterans Memorial Island Sanctuary with the cenotaph located in column B, row 3, and he was highlighted on June 9th, 2015.
Cool.
Staff Sergeant Lester R. Sheffield, 545th Engineer Detachment, killed in service January 4th, 1963. Staff Sergeant Lester Ray Sheffield, U.S. Army Service Number RA 530-33191, was born in Winter Beach in 1928. He was the son of Timothy H. Sheffield and Charity V. Sheffield. He was the youngest of 7 children. He had 3 sisters and 3 brothers. Prior to joining the Army on October 1st, 1951, he was a cowboy on the rodeo circuit. He met his wife, Dorothy Sue, in Lenoir City, Tennessee. He became a professional soldier and NCO in the Engineer Corps. He was assigned to the 545th Engineer Detachment at Fort Buckner, Okinawa, Japan. Upon returning from repairing a generator on January 8, 1963, he and another soldier were washed off the cliff near Bolo Point by high waves. The second soldier was able to reach safety. Search by air and sea rescue found no trace of Staff Sergeant Sheffield. His wife and 2 sons, ages 6 and 4, were living in military housing. They returned to the United States. Official military records list Staff Sergeant Sheffield's date of death as January 15, 1963. This is displayed on the headstone. Staff Sergeant Sheffield soldiered for 12 years. He is buried in Winter Beach Cemetery. His cenotaph is located in column C, row 9, and he was highlighted on June 16th.
Okay. Corporal Robert L. Coleman served in World War II in Korea. He was among the men honored in the dedication of Veterans Memorial Island Sanctuary in May of 1964. Records show that he was born in 1922. He enlisted in the Army at Fort McPherson, Atlanta, Georgia, on November 23, 1942. The 1945 Florida census reflects him living here in Vero Beach. He was born in Florida. This census has him as 19. He was living with his older brother, Clifford. Robert was in the Army and Clifford was in the Navy. Their home was on Glendale Avenue. In the Korean War, he was assigned to the 35th Infantry Regiment, 25th Infantry Division. He was a regular Army soldier and a heavy weapons infantryman. His service number was 345-74120. On October 27, 1951, he was seriously injured in action during operations in the Kumsong area. His full account is still a work in progress. And as an aside, to show you the challenges for this, if you look at the records for World War II, for Robert L. Coleman, there are 43. So these are not sometimes the easiest ways to easiest to find. Corporal Coleman's cenotaph is located in column B, row 10. He was highlighted on the 23rd of June.
Private First Class Donald Humphrey, 6 Rangers, killed in service May 12, 1951. Private First Class Humphrey, U.S. Army, serial number 142-88-100, was a Cold War veteran that served during the Korean War. Donald was an infantryman in Europe. He attended Vero Beach High School. His father was Charles N. Humphrey Newt, and his mom was Ruby A. Humphrey. They lived at 1623 26th Avenue. Newt was a well digger. Donald had an older brother, Dixon, born in 1910. Donald was born November 25th, 1930. Excuse me, Thanksgiving baby. You may find a junior class photo of him in a 1948 Vero Beach High School Arrowhead yearbook. He was active in sports and was an outstanding football player. He enlisted in the Army on May 14th, 1948, and was assigned to the 6th Airborne Ranger Company following his military special training. On May 12, 1951, during a field exercise in Grafwar, Germany, he was fatally shot. The European Stars and Stripes newspaper reports that a weapon accidentally discharged while men were moving into position. Donald was one of 8 European command deaths reported during that week. Donald was only 20 years old at the time. He's buried in Crestlawn Cemetery. On his memorial, you will find a Ranger shoulder tab. That is significant since the Rangers were those D-Day soldiers that scaled the cliffs of Normandy, France. It was a rigorously trained unit with high esprit de corps. Their motto, Rangers Lead the Way, reflects the fact. PFC Humphrey's cenotaph is column E, row 2, on Veterans Memorial Island Sanctuary. Again, he's buried in Crestlawn Cemetery, Vero Beach, highlighted on June 30th.
Thanks. these accounts, we've taken time to do it, and I just want to say thanks to the committee for supporting this effort, because really these are the stories of the men that make the island. As I looked at the Stars and Stripes from the time frame of 1951, there was another article that said there were 6,500 cold weather injuries during that time frame from the Korean War. So we think the 50s of the Korean War, but we don't realize that also the 50s you had the Russians imposing on the outskirts of Europe and getting ready. I don't know if the wall went up there in Berlin during that time frame, but the Berlin airlift was at that time as well. So it just gives you a perspective on how complicated things were, and these men just helped us stay free. As far as Chairman's comments, I just want to say thank you to Ken Daig. He has resigned from the committee. He will be serving on another capacity on the City Council Planning and Zoning, I believe. Ken, thank you so much for helping. And that's all that I have. Barb, anything from
Nothing. I'm
John?
good.
I just want to mention, and I guess you should, since you two gentlemen were involved with it, but with the Elks Lodge has a Flag Day that they do each year, and this year we honored Michelle Dale, who was a Gold Star mother, which means her son was killed in combat, and it was a sad but sweet ceremony, and we compliment you all on putting it on, and I think it was appropriate to recognize that. And the Elks Lodge, of course, is a patriotic organization that does those sorts of things often. So that's all I have that I can think of.
Sir?
You know, one side note, I mentioned this a while ago, probably a year or two ago. You guys in the Genealogical Society need to put this together with a picture of each one of these veterans, and it needs to be in a booklet form or a pamphlet form. So it can be in my office or offices throughout the county where people can look at these folks and go, hey, look at this guy. That kind of looks like me. And somebody's going to come up someday and say, hey, that's my uncle.
Right.
Where'd you get that?
Right.
From the folks of the Genealogical Society
Well,
of Memorial Island.
There is a book, and it's just the initial effort that is at the Archive Center that has the lists, but it doesn't have photographs. And it's the biographical bullets. And hopefully, as we finish this, we'll take these accounts, and anybody that's watching, please, if you have information, share them with us, and we'll add it to it.
And the high school our books from way back until, you may be able to get some copies of pictures out of those, because a lot of these kids were born here, so they were probably in the Arrowhead.
Just be nice to see that, so their
Yeah.
faces and their
in the final.
information's never forgotten.
Right. Okay. Ma'am?
No, this has been really good.
I just have one thing. We have our golf tournament for the Veterans Outreach Program July 11th. It's going to be over at Sandridge. And point of contact, you can call Bella or you can call Sandridge. It's filling up. I think we're over 100 golfers already. So it's filling up pretty quick, and it's a $50 fee, which includes your lunch. And we have some of the local businesses were very generous to us. We have some nice raffles that we're going to be having also. So it's 7 o'clock check-in, 8 o'clock shotgun start. Point of contact would be Sandridge. Thank you.
Very good. By way of additional information, Joel passed along some additional data, which I always appreciate. The estimate for the number of veterans in Indian River County was lowballed at 12,000. The actual number that is from the April 16th, 2014 estimate from veterans? State of Florida indicates that in Indian River County, we have a veteran population 15,416 men. So if you think of that, I believe that's a permanent resident. And then from May to October, you could probably bump that up another several thousand. So on behalf of the committee here, I would like to say I hope everybody has a fantastic 4th of July, and God bless. That completes it.
Thanks.
We're adjourned.
We meet on